probably you guys will have seen in the news recently, there's been a lot of discussion surrounding child Q. Now, for anyone that doesn't know what's been going on with this, I'm just going to give a little bit of context here. So, child Q was a 15-year-old girl. I believe she's probably now 16, 17 because it's been around 2 years. But yeah, the incident regarding child Q happened on the 3rd of December 2020. It only came to light this month, however, in a safeguarding report by City and Hackney Safeguarding Children Partnership. So this 15-year-old girl was pulled out of an exam at school into a medical room in Hackney and strip searched by Metropolitan Police members, and this was after her teachers wrongly suspected her of carrying cannabis. So the teachers claimed that they smelt cannabis on this girl, who, while she was taking her exam, they apparently normally have some kind of officer at the school, but they weren't there because of COVID. So then the teachers made a decision to then call the police in. The police then carried out the search, which involved, again, I should probably give a trigger warning because some of this stuff is quite sensitive. So obviously, it's a quite sensitive topic. So if you're not wanting to listen to this, I completely understand, but just letting you guys know ahead of that. So this strip search occurred, which involved obviously her removing her clothing, and to make matters worse, this child Q was actually menstruating at the time, and the police were aware of this, the teachers were aware of this, and they still went ahead and did it anyway. She was instructed to remove her sanitary pad and do the usual like squat and cough method as well. Obviously, as I've said, she didn't actually have anything on her regardless. It's just a very, very traumatic ordeal. She then was told to go back and complete her exam, and bearing in mind as well, this was all carried out without an adult present. None of the teachers were there either. It was just 2 female police officers, and also they did not contact her mother beforehand, which is the legal requirement before actually carrying out a strip search of this kind on a minor. Furthermore, I actually looked into the police PACE code, and if you look at that, I think it's Code C Annex A. If you actually look at that, and this is on the government website, you can go and look at this. You're only allowed to carry out strip searches if someone is in possession of something that could very much cause harm to another person, or if it's a Class A drug, and cannabis is a Class B drug. So even if at every stage of this, it shouldn't have happened at all. So obviously this happened, and then a safeguarding report has took place following it, and they found that this was unjustified that this took place, especially without contacting her mother beforehand, and that racism was likely to have played a factor in how this played out. And it's really sad, but child Q's mother has shared how her daughter, she's gone from a happy-go-lucky girl to someone who's timid and recluse and hardly speaks. Child Q herself actually has said in the review, on top of preparing for the most important exams of my life, I can't go a single day without wanting to scream, shout, cry, or just give up. I'm just gonna get your just general opinion in a second, Simran, just on this whole ordeal, but I've just got a few more statistics before we go into that. So according to the most recent count, there are 683 officers in British schools. There are a whole range of relationships and programs that they partake in. However, a lot of the time, these officers are put into schools which have a disproportionately high level of pupils of colour or from lower class backgrounds, and it is in a way that reports have found that they do actually end up discriminating towards minoritized students. I think what's even more disturbing as well is that the CHSCP has found that 25 children under the age of 18 were subjected to a strip search, essentially, between 2020 and 21. Of those 25 children, 19 were male and handcuffed during the process. Now, even if we're going to delve more into that, nothing was actually found during 22 of those searches. So 88% of those searches actually led to nothing of note actually being found on these young children, and 20, so 80% had no further action recorded. And if you look at the ethnicity of the children who have had these searches performed on them, 15, so 60% of these children were black, only 2 were white, 6 were Asian, and 2 were Arab or North African. So clearly there's, even outside of this really horrific incident regarding Child Q, there's a problem here, because it's a disproportionate number of children of colour are being strip searched, and furthermore, only 12% of those are actually leading to finding anything actually on them. And I think when I just find the whole concept of strip searching, like, in my personal opinion, demeaning and really traumatizing. But to think that you're doing that with only 12% success rate, like, it just, there's no need for it at all, in my opinion. But yeah, what do you think, Simran?
I think obviously the situation surrounding Child Q is horrific to hear about. I didn't actually know it happened a few years ago, but it's just something disgusting to like hear that that's actually happened. And you look at the statistics where like the breakdown of it by race and stuff, it just opens your eyes up even more to the problem that we have in this country surrounding systemic racism, and you know, like the structures of it that are so deeply embedded in our society in this country. And you think it doesn't exist because of the way like media plays out and the way that big companies try and like make a stand for it. But in reality, these things are still happening to this day, and young black people are still getting subjected to routine stop and searches so disproportionately at a higher rate than other races. Halima put it really well, I've literally got it here, like the adultification of black girls, that you're expecting them to adhere to a maturity standard so much higher than their white or other race counterparts, that in situations like this, you're subjecting them to a lifetime of trauma, you know, and like you said, without even finding anything. Whether something was found or not, a strip search is demeaning and demoralizing, which I'm pretty sure is a big reason why they even exist in the first place. Like, that's why they use them in like the American prison system. When you go in for the first time, it's more of a psychological thing than them actually trying to find you know, anything on you. So you're subjecting these like young girls and boys to trauma. And, you know, like you said, like, the quote said that she's no longer the person she used to be, essentially. And for what? For the smell of weed that, you know, is, like you said, a class B drug, and is not something like a knife or a weapon or anything like that. And it was just off the smell of it. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and going off what you're saying about, obviously Halima mentioned the adultification of black girls particularly. This is not anything that's new. So there've been multiple reports that have looked into this, and a recent one, which I think was taken over the past couple of years, revealed that adults, I think it was maybe taken in America, but adults perceive black girls as less innocent than white girls. And it's how young do you reckon like they start seeing these people as like less innocent?
It's got to be like when you just hit a teenager, when you're no longer an actual child, that I just think that black girls are held to a different standard of like behavior and maturity, and they're expected to adhere to a certain way of behaving. And even if they are just like a normal 15-year-old girl, for example, in this case, you know, that they're seen as older than someone of the same age who might be white.
Well, this report found that the most significant differences. The adults perceived black girls as less innocent than white girls as young as 5 years old. So that's the extreme. They did find that obviously the 10 to 14 age group, like we're saying, at that pubescent level is where that change seems to be happening for the most part. But they did find that exists at 5 years old. Like, the
fact that there is a difference period at any age group is like shocking, because they're just children. They're just children. A child is a child regardless of race or anything like that. And especially at 5 years old, like, all a 5-year-old is innocent. Do you know what I mean? There's no degree of innocence. Like,
they don't know enough. Their brain isn't developed. Like,
exactly.
It's just really sad. Like, obviously
my heart actually breaks, because it's disgusting. Because you look at, things in the media in terms of like girls and self-esteem and body image and confidence and social media and stuff, just to even like try and put yourself in her shoes. You've been taken out of an exam. GCSEs are so stressful, and then to go through something as traumatic as that, and I can't even imagine how scared and confused she must have been. Her mum wasn't notified. Multiple laws were broken at multiple times in the whole proceeding of this thing.
And not one point,
and not at any point did someone, not even on a legal basis, I mean on like a moral basis, think, hang on a minute, should we not be doing this?
Yeah, I mean, this is why a lot of people on social media have actually been finding fault not only with the way that the police acted, but also the teachers involved. Like, at what point would the teacher... It's my understanding, by the way, I think I saw something that the teacher that actually called the police has since lost their job. But good. What would you be your thinking? You think you're in a position of care as a teacher,
exactly.
Right? You see that even if this girl apparently smelt of cannabis, which again we're never gonna know because we weren't there, even if they did, why would you think, okay, the correct thing to do here is to call the police? And that's the thing as well, the reason why they ended up calling the police is because they contacted that on duty, on school officer who should have been there but wasn't there because of COVID. And they said, oh, you should call 101 and ask for a female police officer. Why do you need to go to that level? Like, can you not like deal with it effectively yourself? Like that. And also, why do we need to go straight to getting the police involved? Isn't that not what social workers and that sort of thing are for, to help that happy medium of holding people accountable, yet also actually like helping them? Because at the end of the day, they're children. They like, she's not even 16 and this has happened to her. Like,
it's like, teachers in schools, they have a level of care over these children. As a parent, you drop your kid off to school knowing that, believing that they're going to be in good hands and looked after, people that are trained to do their job, and that people are going to, the police as like a first thought is, I think it speaks more on that the perceptions of Black people in this country are, that's like the first call of incident, that's what the first thing you need to do is go to the police instead of like deal with it internally, or like you said, go through like social workers or anything like that. It definitely again speaks on a race difference, I think, because maybe perhaps if that child was white, they would have dealt with it internally first.
And it's the fact that they did this all whilst having the knowledge that she was menstruating at the time. Like they knew that.
So much worse.
Like you're saying, at each level, why was it not someone, whether it was the police officers, whether it was the teacher, why was someone a responsible adult, which presumably you need to be if you're a teacher or a police person, why would you not step in and be like, oh no, this is wrong, I don't think this, I think even if, like, for example, the teacher, say, like, even if you were someone who thought, okay, I don't want to, this is the law, the police carry out the law, blah blah blah, I don't want to break that, you would still maybe be like, I think we should wait, we should contact their parents first and wait. So that surely that should be your first instinct. And yeah, didn't happen.
Yeah, I think it makes it worse in the sense that they just had absolutely no I can't even say respect. They had no regard. They didn't even think about her privacy or her safety, or like even like, you know, it was just humiliating from start to end. The fact that her mother wasn't called, which is against the law, first of all, and these are supposed to be officers of the law that are supposed to uphold that, and then the people that are supposed to look after her at school, you know, the teachers, are facilitating this whole thing.
Just send her back into the exam, like. No, not even any debrief afterwards. Like, okay, so we have just caused you to be strip searched whilst you're menstruating, even though there was absolutely no need for that to happen.
Because one person had a hunch that you smelt of weed.
Yeah, and there was no we're sorry or take the rest of the day off. Are you okay? Blah blah blah. Just okay, back into your exam.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is disgusting, and I hope that I know that I've seen that Child Q has said that they can see how many people are supporting her across the world, and they appreciate that. So I hope that they manage to gain some peace following all of this. And I also hope that people respect Child Q's and her family's wishes to keep her identity and school's identity anonymous, because that is what she wants. So, yeah.